What is up, you guys? I'm BJ Kicks. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. And you are watching The Hangout. This is the live show I do every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and where we talk about whatever, We talk about comics, we talk about TV shows, we talk about whatever I want to talk about because it's my show. But like I said, we do it live every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're watching this on the replay, I very much appreciate it. Hopefully you can catch us live one of these weeks. But if not, it's all good. Speaking of people that are here live, my man John Smith is here. Greetings and salutations. We had some technical difficulties earlier, so I had to show up a little bit late. It's like 7:07, So sorry about that, guys. Bunkmaster B had to find out if the murder needed a hook this week. Tim Sheeran's here. My man, So Let's Talk About It is also here with a whole lot of questions about this Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue 1. We're definitely going to get into that. J Pop's here. What is up? What is up? Chris Parton's here. Yo, Chris, you look like you look like one of my old supervisors, which is hilarious. If your name wasn't on the screen, I would think you were him. What's up, Tom? Long time no see. Hasn't been that long. Well, it's been 2 weeks since we've done the hangout. Last week, I was just draining my life force through my nose. Thankfully, I'm feeling a bit better, although the missus has now come down with the cold. And apparently she's got it worse than I did. So that sucks. That sucks. Bears here says he heard about him, so he's about to start catching up on all 4 milestone books as soon as he can for the new ones coming now. Got you. So you're checking out the old school milestone before you check out the new milestone returns titles. We can get into that in a minute too. Chris walked by me at Ultimate on Saturday. Really? You should have said what's up. I wouldn't have bit you or nothing. That was a crazy day. It was very busy and I was still like recovering. So I was trying like to just make sure I wasn't too much in people's faces, but I also was like flying around the, the store with a camera. But Free Comic Book Day was fun. It's definitely fun. Let's see. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate it. Let's see. Bear is going to read a few old ones and then the return ones. Word. I think if that's the route you're going to take, the best way to do it, the path of least resistance would be what was I going to say? Path of least resistance would be DC Universe Infinite. If you have a subscription, I think it's like $6 or $7 a month. Maybe it's up to 10. I don't think it's up to 10. But if you subscribe to DC Universe Infinite, they've got the original 4 titles, Static, Hardware, Blood Syndicate, and Icon. They've got loaded up to issue like 30 or 31 of each of those titles. So if you got a tablet or if you want to sit on your computer and read them, it's a really easy way to do that. The next best way, if you want to own it physically, would be to pick up the Milestone Compendium, is what I would say. So yeah, we got a few things to go over. Unfortunately, we've lost some comic book greats since the last time we did this show. Free Comic Book Day happened. CW's canceling a bunch of TV shows. And of course, I got some books to review. So we're going to get into all of those things tonight. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of the Hangout, and that is Ultimate Comics. Now, you guys know Ultimate Comics is my LCS. I've been shopping there for 3 years now. Last Wednesday, was my 3-year comic book anniversary. But anyway, you can shop at any of their 4 locations, and you'll get great staff, great customer service. Their stores are really well stocked and organized, as you saw if you were here for Free Comic Book Day. And even if you weren't, or you don't live in the area, you can shop at ultimatecomics.com. And every Tuesday and Thursday night on the Ultimate Comics live show, which they simulcast on Facebook and on YouTube. So Thanks, Ultimate Comics, for sponsoring the Hangout. Let's see. John is here. He says X-Men 11 was fired. No spoilers. There was a Dr. Status reveal. Word. I've read almost every book in my stack from this week. X-Men 11 is not one that I've read yet. But I'm going to get into the stuff I read because I read Blood Syndicate. Loved that. I read Spawn, Son of Kal-El, I Am Batman, What If Miles Morales, and I still have to read X-Men, Seven Secrets, and the Banner or Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War Alpha issue. Let's see. What's up, my man? Dab is here. Let's see. C-Rook was revising on Saturday. I missed. Oh, yeah. C-Rook, you doing final exams and papers and stuff? Hopefully that went well. Hopefully you got a good grade. Let's see. Tom's got new art he's working on, which is exciting. Did I say that already? I said it in my head if I didn't say it out loud. When are we getting a Moon Knight mini documentary? Did I miss it? You didn't miss it. I'm still going to do it. So the Who's Who series, I was quite ambitious when I said, I'm going to do a new Who's Who every 2 weeks. That series takes a lot. And it's been incredibly busy. I'm gonna do a video about this later, but I'm like seriously having to like reprioritize every week, like how many things I can get done. I used to be a workhorse. I used to be a machine, and I could just like pump out videos all the time. And now it's like it's hard. It's harder. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. But Who's Who? A Who's Who episode on Moon Knight. It's scheduled, and I said this last week. I keep moving it in my schedule, but it's scheduled for the 18th, which is next Wednesday. I don't have to go out of town this weekend. That should be fine. I've basically been running nonstop for the last 2 weeks. Last week, with it being Free Comic Book Day and Mother's Day in the same weekend, I didn't have any time to do any work. And then what happened the week before? Was that when I got sick? Yeah. I was sick like from Monday all the way up until the weekend. It was crazy. Anyway, Comics with Your Average Joe. You did not miss Moon Knight. It hasn't been released yet, but I am still working on it. And then after I do Moon Knight, I think I'm going to do John Stewart, Green Lantern. But let's not put the cart before the horse or count eggs and chickens and whatever the phrases are, right? Let's see. Maybe need more English classes, judging by my grammar here. Blame it on the solvents I accidentally inhaled. Why are you inhaling solvents, sir? What is happening? What's going on? What are you doing? My man Bear says he does have Infinite, so he'll at least do the old ones that way for what they have and then grab the new ones at the LCS. You know what's funny? All of the new ones, except Blood Syndicate, they also release day and date digital in the DC Universe app. So you can read Hardware Season 1, issues 1 through 5, Static Season 1, issues 1 through 6, and Icon of Rocket Season 1, issues 1 through 6. Those are all in DC Universe as we speak. I don't know why Blood Syndicate didn't get the same treatment. I don't know if it was an overlook or they decided to end that program with the latest series. But if you want Blood Syndicate and you want to read it digitally, you're going to have to buy it digitally on Comixology, which is what I did. And then I went out to the store the next day and bought it physically. Travis Fredericks here. I heard you're not supposed to trust a man with 2 first names. I don't know why that's the case, but that's what they say. Good to see you, sir. Accidentally kicked a leg off this afternoon. Oh, of your desk. Wow. So moving right along here, I guess I would start with the sad part, right? So, well, give me a second because I had a nice image queued up and then my computer plotted against me. So give me just a moment to get this pulled up. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. I don't know who did this artwork. Oh, okay, it's on here. So anyway, let's do this. Let me share this tab. So I was telling you guys, we haven't gotten together in about 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, we've lost two giants in the industry. One of which being Neal Adams, and the other we found out we lost him on Free Comic Book Day, and that being George Perez. So credit to the writers or the artists on these issues or these images. Looks like the George Perez tribute is by Phil Noto, and the Neal Adams is it Francisco Francavilla? Francavilla? I think that's how you say his name. But anyway, two, iconic figures in comic books. Now, I'm relatively new to comics, so I'm not the one. I don't think I'm qualified to eulogize these guys. There are people who I know well who grew up on these artists. Like George Perez created Nightwing and, a bunch of other Teen Titans. And then, teamed the JLA and Avengers up a couple of times. And just by all accounts, was like the nicest guy you could ever meet. My man Chris met George Perez a few years back. So I know that was like a crushing blow. Like just when they announced that he had the pancreatic cancer a few months ago, it was just sad. Like you could kind of see the shock on everyone or in everyone. And cancer it just sucks. It sucks to watch a loved one go through cancer. What I will say is that I admired just kind of the approach he took to it. Like, look, I'm not about to waste my last days on chemo. Like, I'm gonna have as much fun as I can. I'm gonna do as much visits as I can, or as many visits as I can, and go out on top. And he did. So it was really fun seeing, or it was kind of bittersweet, honestly, seeing the status updates from his family. But I loved seeing that he was able to enjoy his last days. And then with Neal Adams was a little bit more sudden. Apparently, he'd been dealing with sepsis for like the last year. But I mean, I don't know if I actually ever wrote this down, but I followed Neal Adams on Facebook, right? And I mean, it was like every few days, it seemed, he would do a live stream and he was drawing sketches or selling sketches that he'd already done. And I kind of just took for granted, like, okay, cool. Like one day I'll be able to afford a Neal Adams sketch and I'll jump on this live stream and I'll buy one and it'll be great. And unfortunately, that time just didn't come. Thankfully, I was on the Ultimate Comics live show this was a few months ago. I actually showed this on the channel, but I bought a Neal Adams Batman print, and it is signed. It's signed for Don. And I don't know who Don is or was, but now I guess Don could just be short for Brand Don. I don't know. So that's just one of those things. It's in the collection that it's like, it's more special to me, now because he's gone. Like Neal Adams, I can speak a little bit more directly to his influence on my comic collecting, right? Neal Adams is directly responsible for one. He created John Stewart, who is my favorite Green Lantern. But Neal Adams is directly responsible for the careers of both Bill Sienkiewicz and Dennis Cowan, who I'm currently reading on Hardware, who both, incidentally call him dad. Like that's how great Neal's influence on them had been. And then there's a whole host of artists who, credit Neal as like their inspiration, like people like Jim Lee, and everyone who came after, right? Like a lot of people will say like Neal Adams drew superheroes the way they were supposed to look. Um, but beyond that, Neal Adams was the reason that the creators of Superman were able to get their just due and got like credits in the comics as the creators of Superman. That's wild. He was a huge advocate for creators' rights. Um, if you ever listen to him tell the story of how John Stewart came to be, like you could just hear the passion that he had and the compassion that Neal Adams had for people. And that's just something that I admire. So, before I ever saw any Neal Adams artwork, it was stories like that that I heard and was like, man, like that's a cool dude. That's someone to look up to and admire. Um, but yeah, so he's directly responsible for Dennis Cowan, Bill Sienkiewicz, who are two artists that I admire greatly. Um, and then on top of all of that, Neal Adams is the one who made the call that got Reggie Hudlin the meeting that led to his run on Black Panther, right? Where he introduced us all to Shuri and the relationship of Storm and T'Challa and all these things that we've seen play out, in movies and all sorts of other media. None of these things happen without the influence of Neal Adams. And so I think, if nothing else, he leaves behind an immense legacy. And like I said, that's without us even talking about his art, So I think that's amazing, right? For any of us, to live a life, I would hope that when we're all gone, like people can say, great things about us, whether we're famous people or, you know, widely recognized or whatever, right? Like, I would just hope that people would talk about any of us the way that they speak of Neal Adams and George Perez. So I know their legacies will live on through their work and through the stories that are told about them. And I'm gonna do my part. I'm newer to comics, and so when things like this happen, I'm always like challenging myself, like go back, study the history, like gain a better appreciation for what these people contributed. So the new Teen Titans Omnibus Volume 1 is getting a reprint later this year. I'm definitely grabbing that, along with the Wonder Woman by George Perez. I've got a bunch of Neal Adams Batman, so I'm gonna make a point to read that sooner than later. Um, and yeah, like it's important to me that the history in comics isn't lost, even though I'm newer to it. So that was a really long-winded tribute, and I hate to make the mood somber, but I figured we might as well kick it off at the start of the show since I missed both of these announcements in real time. And yes, see, Rook, pancreatic cancer is one of those things that just kind of happens like that. I've known of a few people who were diagnosed and then like weeks later they were gone. So when they announced George Perez, I was just like, dang, like you kind of knew the writing was on the wall. I'm glad he made it as long as he did. I'm super glad they were able to reprint the JLA Avengers and he was able to see that come back into print, and raise a ton of money for charity in the process. Like that's just amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, I got nothing except RIP to George Perez and RIP to Neal Adams. I'd love, like, just to not be on such a somber note. What are some of your favorite works by Neal and or George? Chris Parton says he grew up on Perez's art. Word, word. What were some of the better things? Tom Beppel grew up on the Avengers drawn by Perez during the 70s. If I'm not mistaken, they're reprinting some of that into omnibus format as well. I think it's Kurt Busiek and George Perez omnibus is getting printed later this year or maybe early next. If you're still with me, give me like a thumbs up in the chat or something, because I'm not getting comments refreshing, it looks like. Infinity Gauntlet has fun art. True, true. Ali versus Superman, one of the best comics ever by Neal Adams. Neal's art was insane in that book. Word. I think again, without really seeing a lot of Neal Adams artwork. And I'm sure I've seen Neal Adams artwork and just maybe didn't recognize what it was, since I'm a big Batman fan. But I think, like I said, I think the thing that sticks out to me most from Neal Adams is like the way he retells the story of um, the creation of John Stewart, and his insistence on him like being college educated and not being like a hoodlum, and all these different things. J Pop's here. Oh yeah, I said that already. Thanks for giving me the thumbs up. Tom has the Neal Adams Dead Man Omnibus. Word. I remember when that came out. I was just not familiar with the Dead Man character. I saw him in the Justice League Dark cartoon. I wonder if that's still in print, it's still available. How's the story? That's the better question. Looks like you can still. Oh wow, there's only one Dead Man Omnibus in stock on Amazon, at least if you're looking for it new. So that's unfortunate, but it's been out for a while. Excuse me. Cartoonist Kayfabe did a video with Rob Liefeld last week going through Ali versus Superman. Check it out when you can. I will. Ali versus Superman is a book that I've wanted for a while. I'm sure at this point it's out of reach. Let's see. I mean, it looks like they're going for somewhere around $100. Well, for the hardcover, they did a hardcover. I wouldn't want it with retouched colors. I'd want it with like the original colors. Yeah, that seems to be out of reach, but yeah. So I'll definitely check out the Cartoonist Kayfabe video just so I can like see, the issue. That'd be cool. Let's see. Paris Blood Suwoo gang in the building. I have not heard a Suwoo since I got out of high school. That is hilarious. Has anyone, C. Rook says, has anyone been feeling a bit burnt out on comics recently? Or is it just me, enjoy reading, but no longer get excited? The video is very out of sync. Word? Okay. I could probably fix that. Let's see. I'm gonna try something here. All right. So not out of sync anymore. Not as crispy, but shouldn't be out of sync, right? Hold on, let me see if I can fix it and get it to stop all this stupid auto focusing. Sheesh. This is why you're supposed to like test all this stuff ahead of time. All right, let's see. Can I get this to stop like wiggling? All right. All right, you guys tell me how it's looking. Any better? Any better? Let's see. Since you're getting the X-Men Omnibus, Neal Adams did the art on X-Men for 4 or 5 issues in the 60s. Some of my favorite issues. Yes. I just opened volume 2. And that's where Neal Adams does his short run. So I'm excited to get into that. I'm very excited to get into that. Let's see. Nearly at 5.5. Yeah, that's all you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I have no control over like how many followers we get or anything like that, but I'm always grateful and appreciative. Let's see what's going on. All right. So what were we talking about? Oh, the Ali versus Superman. Yeah, I would love to get that eventually. Books are out of reach until they're not, you know? Wait, what? Oh, okay. I was just looking at an eBay listing and it looked like they had the Ali versus Superman for like $20, but they didn't. But anyway, the what were we supposed to talk about after this? Oh, all right. We can get into like some other news. So Naomi has been canceled at the CW, along with a lot of other shows. Like a lot of shows have been canceled for CW. Naomi's the latest one to get the axe. But what else? Dynasty, Dynasty, like the soap opera, Charmed, 4400, In the Dark, and Roswell, New Mexico, as well as Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow. I wasn't watching any of those shows. The only two shows that I was watching were what was I watching? I was watching Naomi and I was watching Superman and Lois. Naomi definitely started slow. Like I feel like it didn't really hit its stride until what, 5, maybe 6 in. Um, but I mean, I was fully invested. Like once I got over the fact that it was going to be like really different from the comics, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad. But also the action started to pick up a little bit. It's funny with Naomi, the when you press play on it in the CW app, it says the genre is action drama. And I would definitely flip that. Naomi was more so dramatic action, but Superman and Lois though, um, that one feels like more action than drama, and definitely was more gripping TV. Like just objectively speaking, I enjoyed it a lot more. Um, Even though I had like a connection to Naomi's character from the comics, the Superman and Lois as a TV show was just easier to was easier to get behind. Naomi just kind of I feel like it struggled to find a voice or like figure out what it wanted to be. And then the acting wasn't the best, right? Naomi's character, or the actress that plays Naomi, does a great job. Her best friend, I think it's Annabelle, she's great. The mom on the show is great. Everyone else just kind of just talks weirdly. Like there's her boyfriend who like just kind of sounded like Barack Obama strangely. And then there's Zumbato definitely was like the worst. It was like everything he said had like a creepy like you should have done that, Naomi. Right? Like like everything that he says to anyone. He's always looking like, but he's not the evil guy. It's so weird. So weird. So yeah. Yeah. But yeah, even with all that said, with all of my complaints, with the complaints that I had, I was enjoying the later episodes. I felt like it really hit a stride. So it's sad to see it go. Um, but I completely understand why. Like, apparently the show had lost like 40% of its audience after episode 1. So yeah, Tim Sharon says he called it a month ago that Naomi would get canceled, but it's still sad. Mike Winter says now that here all other shows are being canceled, I think they may be getting a reboot due to the Discovery merger. I know that there was an article a while back saying that Discovery was trying to cut a bunch of original programming, like across a bunch of channels. Like they're just trying to slash stuff like left and right. Like anywhere we can cut spending, we're cutting spending. The speculation is that a lot of it may be getting rebooted by HBO Max later on. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Tom watched Naomi, says he enjoyed the later episodes too. J Pop says that I watched Flash. No, I watched Flash. We watched Flash, my wife and I, back when it like first was coming out. I think we picked it up around season 3. We were watching season 1 and 2 like on Netflix, and then we started watching season 3 and fell off somewhere in the middle. At the time that I was watching Flash and Gotham. Like those were my two shows. I fell off on both of them, and I'm just one of those people where it's like if I fall behind on a TV show, it's going to be very hard for me to catch up because I don't generally binge watch things unless I just have like a lot of free time. So all of a sudden, Flash has got like 18 seasons. I'm never going to watch all of the Flash. But yeah, I didn't watch Flash, although I've heard it was probably one of the better shows. I mean, it's still on, right? So most likely streaming service or something like HBO. Yeah, I mean, man, hopefully some of this stuff comes back. I know there was a lot of uproar about Legends of Tomorrow. I hadn't been watching Batman, or not Batman, Batwoman. They have a new Gotham Knights show coming out. And I don't know, was Titans still on the CW? I hadn't been watching that either. Let's see. So let's talk about since I was watching Flash, Arrow, Luke Cage, and then got overwhelmed. Yeah, it's a lot. I've never watched any of those Marvel Disney series. The Disney Netflix joints. Never watched any of them. Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, The Daughters of the Dragon, whoever else got a TV show, I haven't watched it. I haven't watched any of them. I watched like 2 episodes of Daredevil. It was cool. It was cool. But yeah, so Naomi's done. And I kind of feel like all the time I spent prioritizing TV this year was a waste. Like over the last 3 months, I was trying very hard to stay on top of Naomi. But yeah. Luke Cage season 1 is awesome. Season 2, it's fine. Word. I mean, the way I am with TV is like a background thing for me anyway. Kev Koss says the Watchmen show was fantastic, and it was a one and done season, which was nice. Came in, told a story without becoming overwrought. I can get with that. The only thing is, I've never read Watchmen. So I've stayed away from all of the Watchmen other stuff, the sequels. I never read Doomsday Clock. I did read The Button, the Batman Flash, The Button thing. I didn't. Whatever. Nothing related to Watchmen have I read or watched. I did start watching the movie at one point, but never finished that either. Eventually, I'll read Watchmen. It's supposed to be on an episode of Retro Reviews, but I kind of stopped that series. So let's see. John says that's a shame I didn't get to watch one episode. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, if you have the CW app, which is a free app on Roku, if I'm not mistaken, you can watch all those episodes of Naomi and Superman and Lois and all that stuff. I think Legends of Tomorrow was on like season 7, but yeah. Oh, Kamar's here. What's up, Kamar? Hope you're good, sir. I'm doing well. Can you rank the first 3 Milestone series, the new ones? If I'm ranking the Milestone Returns titles just in order of like my favorite to least favorite, it's Hardware Season 1, Static Season 1, then Icon and Rocket Season 1. And chances are it ends up being Hardware, then Blood Syndicate, then Static, then Icon. But we only got 1 issue of Blood Syndicate so far. Let's see. Skip. What's up, Skip? Knew this was coming, but glad it got better as episodes went on. I'm like 3 behind. Already seen Doctor Strange thrice. Word. I haven't seen Doctor Strange yet. I don't know when I'm going to see Doctor Strange because I have to go to the movies to see that. I didn't even see Batman until like 3 weeks ago. Let's see. What time do superhero shows air on the CW? I have access to it here in the UK and need to know times. I want to say Naomi was at like 9 p.m. and Superman and Lois was like 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I don't know what time that would be for you. I don't watch them live. I watch them all the day after on the CW app. I just streamed them. Let's see. Duo's the next one, right? Are there any other Milestone series coming that you know of? No. Duo is it. So yeah, Duo's it. So Static, Hardware, Icon, Blood Syndicate, and Duo would be the full Milestone Returns line. And so far, nothing else has been announced. Let's see. Someone asked, any more info about Michael B. Jordan in the Milestone universe? No, not that I have. I know that the animated stuff is in development. Brandon Thomas is writing the animated movie. And I know of a couple of names who are involved on the animation side of things. But that's all I know. I don't have any like insider information. This is just all stuff I've seen in public forums. The Static Shock movie, the live action, that has been a lot more tightly under wraps. There was a rumor that McFarlane Toys is releasing an action figure of the Static from the live action movie, which I don't know if that, I don't know. I didn't see like a valid source on that. So I would take that with a grain of salt. But if that rumor were true, that would mean that the live action movie is a lot further in development than anyone has said publicly. But I mean, I'm sure it's all rumor. What's your favorite burger, BJ? I don't know. I mean, I'm always putting bacon on a burger. Like, burger is not a burger without bacon and cheese to me. I still rock with mushrooms. I love a good cheddar cheese sauce. You know, most restaurants would call it like a smokehouse burger. Typically, you get like crispy onions, cheddar cheese, maybe some mayo or barbecue sauce, and bacon on your burger. That's kind of like, that's the vibe I typically go for. But I'm also good with like a classic bacon cheeseburger, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, maybe a little ketchup. That was such a random question. And the fact that I had such a detailed answer just means I'm fat. Surprised at how cheap the original #1 Blood Syndicate Steel polybags are. Yeah, honestly, with Milestone, it's like the only thing that is expensive are the later issues of all of the series, and then like the #1 for Static. Everything else can be had at a relatively affordable price if you're willing to like wait it out on eBay or just go shopping in person. A lot of comic shops, especially shops that deal with back issues, do not know what they have when it comes to Milestone, and they price them accordingly. Like there was a time where I got like a whole stack of Milestone books for like $6 because the clerk was like, "Oh, that must have been in the dollar bin, and we're having a half off sale today, so 50 cents each. Like, just take them." I was like, "Cool, works for me." Have a Man Without Love stuck in my head because of Moon Knight. I did not watch. I haven't seen the Moon Knight finale. So my wife and I decided that we were going to just wait for Moon Knight to finish and then we were going to binge watch it all together. And then she betrayed me and watched it herself anyway. And then get this. My wife is like, "Oh, and I found a Moon Knight digital comic and I read that and it made the show even better. And now I want to read Moon Knight comics. Do you have any Moon Knight comics?" So I'm letting her borrow my Moon Knight Volume 1 Omnibus. And I guess now I have to order Volume 2. So that'll be a thing. Let's see. My wife has a good sense of humor. Yo, listen, man. It happened. That's what happened. That's what happened. My wife was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this when when all of it is available. I'll binge watch." I was like, "Cool, we'll do that together." I stopped watching. I was doing the recaps for you guys, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm not watching Moon Knight anymore." And then she betrayed me. Kamar wants to know if I'm picking up the Luke Cage omnibus. Yes. So, and I'm trying to be more judicious, more the word that just escaped me. Um, God, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, I'm trying not to buy so much stuff. I'm trying to really like scrutinize every decision and like really cut down on some of the stuff that comes into this room. Mostly because like no matter how much money I have, like because I tend to like go hard or go home. Like if I work hard, play hard. That's what I say. Like if I go and secure like a major deal somewhere or get a new client or whatever, I tend to celebrate that. I take some money, and buy some stuff. So I'm never like worried about like not having money, but I don't have the time to read all this stuff that I buy. Um, and it feels kind of hypocritical when at the end of every video you tell people to read what they buy. So anyway, um, with Luke Cage. The reason I'm buying Luke Cage as well as all the Black Panther Omnibus is the same reason I played as Kareem Campbell on Tony Hawk. But in all seriousness, there's some, and I was an African American history major in college. For me, just history in general is just like it's important. It's fun, and I like being able to look back and see how far things have come, particularly as it relates to African American representation in media, right? Like you study blacks in film and blacks in music and on all these different things. But now that I'm in comic books, I like watching that progression as well. So Luke Cage being one end of a spectrum in regards to how black people were represented in comic books, and Black Panther being like on the complete opposite and generally being viewed as like the best, most iconic representation of or example of black people in comic books. They both are just important to me, right? Black Panther I actually have a genuine affinity for. Luke Cage I'm buying just for the history nerd, so I can be able to look back and see, dang, how good was this or not good was it? But yeah, so yes, to answer your question in a very long-winded fashion, I'm picking up the Luke Cage Omnibus. Yes, Marcus, the betrayal. The betrayal. Tayshawn just picked up Cage by Tartakovsky, the dude from Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. What else did that dude do? He did was it called Primal? Or something like that. He did whatever. It was like this cartoon where it's like this caveman dude was like defending a dinosaur or something. There was no dialogue in the episode that my wife and I watched. It was our anniversary one time, and we like went to a hotel, and that was on TV, and we were both just like amazed. I think that show is on HBO Max too. But anyway, Tayshawn says, also, if you haven't checked it out, look for the Power Man and Iron Fist reboot from 2017, written by David Walker, art by Sanford Green, both from Bitter Root. David Walker and Sanford Green, maybe not David Walker, but definitely Sanford Green, is going to be at Heroes Con in Charlotte this year in June, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to be there. C-Rook's laughing. I'm assuming he's laughing because my reading list stretches into 2027. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so one thing that I just didn't realize was how long it was going to take me to read. Because like I said, a year ago, well, maybe a little bit longer than a year ago, like, but back when I first started this channel, I excuse me. I pressed the space mute. That didn't. All right. Anyway, back when I first started the channel, I could go through an omnibus in 5 days, and I pretty much would read all of my comics on New Comic Book Day, and I could just breeze through stuff. And that's no longer the case. My real life takes up so much time now. I don't have as much time to sit and read comics, and so I got to be more judicious. I got to like cut down the stuff I'm buying. But As has always been the case with collected editions for me, I've always kind of viewed it as like this is something that I'm buying so I can refer back to it later, not necessarily to read like immediately. But single issues, I'm definitely trying to like stay on top of week to week. Skip can't wait for Ice Cream Man Sunday edition. I'm honestly curious about it. As much as you guys talk about Ice Cream Man, I don't do horror, which is why I stayed away from it to begin with. But yeah, I'm excited or curious about Ice Cream Man. Sanford comes to Heroes here in Charlotte all the time. I got a bunch of stuff signed from him over the years. Talked to him about the Bitterroot live action movie in production right now. Word. So yeah, I've got all 3 Bitterroot trades. So my plan for Heroes Con is to just bring a bunch of trades and get those signed. I don't need like slabs or anything. I don't really have the wall space to display them. But I think it would be cool to have my trade paperbacks signed and personalized to me. So I'm trying to grab that. What else? Hickman's gonna be there. I'm gonna see if he'll sign my House of X. Who else is gonna be there? Everybody is going to be there. If you haven't looked at the list for Heroes Con and you live anywhere near Charlotte, you need to be at Heroes Con. I'll say that. But yeah, as far as people that I want to sign things, it was Sanford Green, and Chuck Brown, and David Walker. And then Kevin Cuff's gonna be there, who I just saw this past Saturday. I don't remember, but I do also know that Christopher Priest is gonna be in Raleigh at GalaxyCon in July, and I'm trying to get him to sign my Milestone Compendium because I just think that would be dope. Tim Sale is gonna be there. Everybody in the world is going to be there. Let me see if I can pull up the list. The Heroes Con website is kind of wonky. I broke my... Chris Claremont's going to be there. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, John Romita Jr., Jim Starlin, Jim Steranko, Lee Weeks, Scotty Young's going to be there. I forgot about that. Let's see. Let me share my screen again. All right, complete guest list. Chris Bocciolo, Daryl Banks, Chuck Brown. By the way, the people in red, they just announced like 2 days ago. Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti are gonna be there. Nick Dragata's gonna be there. Skip's homie. Mike Grell's gonna be there. Interesting. Scott Hanna, along with John Romita Jr., is gonna be there. Carl Kessel. I can get him to sign my first appearance of King Shark. Let's see. I mean, it's like everybody in the world. Coy Pham, Stephanie Phillips, Don Rosa. Don Rosa's gonna be there. That's why Omar's coming. Jim Starlin, Brian Stelfreeze. That was the name I was trying to come up with earlier. Brian Stelfreeze is what I'm excited about. Lee Weeks, Scotty Young, once again. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are going to be there that I'm excited to see. So that's going to be fun. Let's see. Transformers The Last Bot was okay. I'm actually going to grab moving forward. Why not? It's the last IDW Transformers comic. Word. Yeah, I decided not to buy it. I think I said this in the video, but I was just like, I don't read Transformers, so it wouldn't mean as much to me as it would to someone who actually reads Transformers. But I'm glad it was at least enjoyable for you. Let's see. Nick was just texting. That's hilarious. Oh, you were just texting Nick about the Doctor Strange movie. IDW lost a license. I think that's true. IDW lost a lot of licenses recently. Like, I feel like the only thing they really still have is Turtles. Speaking of Turtles, all right, we can shift. It's been an hour. I got to talk about these Free Comic Book Day books because Free Comic Book Day was awesome. I saw quite a few people from the channel or from that have been familiar from the live chat. I met Mentor Prizes. I met JN, who won in the 5,000 subscriber giveaway. He won the Why the Last Man set. Apparently, I walked right by Chris Martin, and he decided not to even say anything. But yeah, so that was cool. Like just meeting people that had only been names and screen names behind the scenes. It's always interesting, like when you meet people, but you don't know what they look like, but you kind of imagine what they might look like in your head. And I'll tell you what, JN and Mentor Prizes, neither of them look like what I thought they might look like. And they were both like younger than I assumed they would be. So that was cool, but it was definitely nice meeting you fellas. I took a selfie with JN. I didn't get a chance to take one with Mentor Prizes, but I mean he doesn't live super far, so I think we'll probably be able to get up again. So yeah, that was cool. That's not the case. I wouldn't call myself a celebrity of any sort, local or otherwise. What do you think I look like? I just imagine you being like a short, like frail kid. Yeah, I mean, I know that you're like, well, I won't dox you, but I know you've told me how old you are. But yeah, I just imagine you being like a little kid. How was your first con, BJ? I haven't been to my first con yet. My first con will be Heroes Con in Charlotte. Um, Unless you count the Wake Forest Comic Con, which is just like a street fair, and that's coming. Actually, I think that's coming after. I think that's coming in August. But yeah, I haven't been to my first con yet. That's something that'll happen this summer. And I'm strongly considering going to New York Comic Con this year. I have an uncle that doesn't stay super far from where the event is held. So I've got room and board. I just got to buy a con ticket. And I also have to like be comfortable with the idea of leaving my family for like 4 days and going to New York of all places. But yeah, so let's see, short for kid, dang BJ. No, I mean I just go based on like the things he's told me on the Discord about like working out and stuff. Like C Rook gives us a lot of information. Yo, BJ's back. What's up, BJ? That still feels weird to say. But yeah, I might go to NY Comic Con. I don't know. But let's talk about Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day was good. My recap video is still on the way. I know I said that already, but it is. I got a lot of footage to comb through. So yeah, I'm trying to have it out tomorrow, but I have a video on my other channel that I have to get out tomorrow. So it'll probably not come out until Saturday. And I'll probably replace that video with, yeah, I save boxes for occasions like this. I save stuff like to open up in a pinch. So I got 2 boxes back there that I can make videos about. But yeah, before this weekend is over, we'll get the Free Comic Book Day recap video with all the dope footage that I took. But I can go ahead and tell you how I felt about the Free Comic Book Day books, starting with my least favorite and going to my favorites of the ones I've read so far. John Smith, will do. I have a lot of family in NYC. So yeah, and they're spread all apart. I don't want to, reveal family locations, but I got people in pretty much all of the 5 boroughs. But anyway, what's the other channel? I always wondered. I put it in the chat. It's KDMR Music. It's where I teach musicians how the industry works so they can be more successful. So my least favorite book that I've read so far was the Free Comic Book Day Spider-Man and Venom issue. Not because it was terrible. It wasn't. I would say I enjoyed the artwork in this issue a little bit better than I enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man #1 from last week. This was my favorite page, or 2 weeks ago. But either way, this was my favorite page, this little splash page here. And again, John Romita Jr.'s storytelling is great. And I think if his art continues to get better, like this is completely fine. I'm not mad at this in the comic book. Like it's better than fine. Like this is good. Like I like everything on this page. So yeah, I like it. The reason this book didn't get like the best rating from me was because it is not what they said it was going to be in the previews. They were saying this was a Tombstone story. Tombstone is not in this story. But also, I don't want to spoil the last page reveal. But basically, we get an appearance. Things are going to tie into things that have happened in the past, and I'm not going to feel like the last 3 months of reading Spider-Man were wasted. I'll say that. On the other half of the issue, we got a better glimpse or another chapter in like this whole saga with Eddie Brock and his son Dylan and them trying to be reunited. And that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. It got me excited to read Venom again. So all in all, I think this issue did its job. It got me excited about Spider-Man and got me excited about Venom. I liked it a lot. Overall, what? If I take out my preconceived notions about what the issue should have been, I'd probably give this a solid 8. 7.5 to 8. So this was good. Let's see. Oh, you threw me off, Kev. You're talking to the other BJ. Should we buy trade paperbacks, hardcover, or deluxe edition? Which one do you suggest? I don't suggest one over the other. I prefer one over the other for myself, but I've kind of given all those reasons. I actually did a video. If you look at the playlist I have called Comics 101, I did a video breaking down all the different formats and what I think they're good for. I would say if you're on a budget, trade paperbacks are great. If you travel a lot, maybe want something a little bit more durable, maybe a hardcovers. Although I've heard that trades travel better, so take that with a grain of salt. If you like things oversized, then the deluxe hardcover or the omnibus format is going to be your best bet. In my opinion, absolutes are for coffee tables. I wouldn't like carry an absolute around to read. But that's where I am. For me, I buy collected editions because I didn't get to read them growing up, right? I'm buying these stories that other people already got to experience in single issues, and it would be way cost prohibitive for me to try to buy single issues. So that's why I buy the omnibus more often than not. But I love reading single issues. And I think the next best thing to reading single issues, like if you want stories in a timely manner, would be trade paperbacks. So there's a book for there's a reason for every format. That's what I say. Mentor prizes. I was just talking about you. What's up, dude? Nice meeting you this weekend. That was cool. 1 second, guys. I have to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll talk about the rest of my free comic book day picks. Yo, that was a great point, Skip. Digital, yes. I bought an iPad Pro specifically because I wanted to read comics digitally, because just having actual books just wasn't super practical all the time. So now when I'm reading the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 1, I'm just reading it in the computer. You know what I'm saying? Digital is great. It really is. It really is. Let's see. So yeah, free comic book day books. I enjoyed Spider-Man versus Venom. I just thought it was going to be a little bit more Tombstone related, but what we got was still exciting. So I shouldn't complain. I should not complain. And let's see. What was the book I enjoyed next best? This one. This is so fun. Max Meow. I picked this up because it looked like one of those books that my daughter will be interested in. And so I try to screen stuff before I just buy her stuff. And this was just fun. Just a fun book. No matter how much it looks like the guy from Dogman, it's not the same guy. But Max Meow, Cat on the Street, was fun. It's a cat, and he's a superhero. He's fighting birds and stuff. This was just fun. So I liked it. Let's see. Peace out, C Rook. Good seeing you. And 1 second. My bad, guys. So as you know, I was sick last week. I'm still getting over stuff. And I tried so hard last week to rush back to the channel because I wanted to do a free comic book day preview video and a bunch of other stuff, right? I just don't like leaving the audience hanging. But in me trying to rush back, I blew my nose too hard and gave myself a nosebleed. So now I can't really like blow my nose. I have to like whatever. I don't want to get gross. Had to handle some business. Anyway, so Max Meow was just a fun book. So that kind of got number 4 by default. Let's see. Whoops. BJ, why any superheroes won't dead replaced by other superheroes or their kinds? Why any superheroes won't dead? Are you asking why superheroes like don't stay dead? Like why they tend to just come back after a little while? I think the short answer to that is money, right? Like if you're familiar with the character, you want that character. Like I don't care how much I like Robin. I'm probably not gonna buy Batman if Batman never comes back. So I think that's why they do it. Um, but I do think it's nice when you get stories where the heroes, die or become unavailable, and you get to use those moments to build up your legacy characters as long as you can find a way to like continue, from that point that you built the characters up to. But that's easier said than done. And we'll get into that in just a second. So the next book that I would say I liked right? This would be number 3 out of 5. Yeah. This one, The Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day. This was honestly like you could split it into 3 books. There was the Avengers, X-Men, Eternals portion that was like all, one story. Basically, well, I don't want to spoil it. There's a reason that the Eternals are going to want to fight the X-Men and the Avengers, and this sets up that event. And that event starts in June, and it looks like it's going to be dope. But that's all set up in this issue, and I thought the reason for it was compelling enough. I've never really gotten into the Eternals, so I wasn't like crazy excited about them or this story for that matter. But there's also in the middle of this um, a first appearance of a brand new character who apparently is getting their own series later this summer, which I thought it was weird because this person is supposed to be related to a major Marvel character who does not have an ongoing series right now. So I was like, why does it matter who this person is? Like, why do we care about this person? And then the last little bit of this is a preview for the Hellfire Gala. And what I will say is that there's going to be a special guest at this Hellfire Gala that I'm very excited about. And this like basically comes right off the heels of Inferno and the Lives and Deaths of Wolverine, all of that. So this has me very excited about the future of the X-Men titles. I'm still kind of like so on the Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals, but it should at least lead to some fun books. And that story in the middle, I'm just kind of indifferent to. So this one actually gets a lower rating than the Spider-Man book now that I'm thinking about it. But I felt like this was pretty much what it was advertised to be. And my level of excitement for the X-Men portion of this just kind of trumped everything else. But I'd still give it like a 7. So that was my number 2 or number 3 favorite. Second favorite. I really enjoyed the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Free Comic Book Day book this year. So it starts off. Oh, that's cool. I won't even spoil that. It's a wraparound cover. I didn't know it was a wraparound cover. But it starts off with like this tribute to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1, like the 1984 Mirage series. This is like a panel for panel tribute to that book. But it's panel for panel and to a certain degree word for word tribute. But there are things that are different about it. And what I didn't know when I was telling you guys that I was excited about this book is that they also included the actual 1984 Mirage #1. So you get it's like a 10-page story, and you get that printed in its entirety, which if you are a Ninja Turtles fan, that's just exciting. So I really enjoyed it. And in the middle, you get a letter from Tom Waltz, who was the writer of this series before Sophie Campbell, from issues 1 all the way through 100. And basically in this letter, he announces that he's coming back to write this big event that is basically kind of leftover parts from stories that he never finished in his initial 100-issue run. So all in all, this was exciting. This got me excited about the Turtles. I've been collecting the Turtles since issue 101. And this is the most excited I've been about the actual Turtles ongoing series, not being the last Ronin. So well done. This got me excited. So that was my second favorite. I'd probably give that an 8 out of 10 as well. Maybe 8.5 even. Mental Prizes said, I think hero deaths fit better with Elseworld stories. Yeah, because with Elseworld stories, like, they don't necessarily matter, but because they're Elseworlds, they feel final for that story. So, like Deceased. Deceased is like, okay, I know they're not dead in the main world, but in this focused story where, it doesn't matter what happened in every other book in continuity, it's just this, I don't know who's going to live or die, and I got characters that I'm rooting for, that I want to live, that might die, and vice versa. So, yes, I do think in general, the hero deaths fit better in the Elseworld stories, because when they die in regular books, you have to like get over the mental block that is like screaming at you, this death doesn't matter. So, yeah, I would agree with you, Enterprises. So, speaking of deaths of major superheroes, the free comic book day issue that I actually enjoyed the most was Dark Crisis Special Edition, free comic book day book. So this spins directly out of the Death of the Justice League. You start off with the Wally West story, basically like, but you get like the aftermath. Like you get someone eulogizing the Justice League in its many forms over the years. And then you get like new threats. And basically, how do I say what happened without spoiling it? I guess the biggest thing is you're starting to get the fallout of the Death of the Justice League, and there is a central question that's asked, like, why aren't these people responding? Like XYZ people, why haven't they done anything yet? And it's like, why haven't they done anything yet? That's an interesting question. And so there's that part. You got the whole funeral for the Justice League with Nightwing being given the eulogy, which I love that. And then you got some fighting. You also got like a history of the DC multiverse, just kind of basically explaining how each crisis ties into each other and how they're all leading to the Dark Crisis. That part was a little bit, heady for me, but I was appreciative that it was there. If the Death of the Justice League felt uneventful, like it didn't have any impact, this kind of gave that missing context and like the missing impact that I was waiting for. And this and that together, this along with Justice League 75 together, now have me excited about Dark Crisis. So that's why this was my favorite book, because I'm a DC fan and I wanted to be excited about Dark Crisis, and this allowed me to be excited about Dark Crisis. And by the way, the art in it is great. This might be the, like, objectively the best art of all the free comic book day books. Except I do like the stylized art in the Ninja Turtles book. But yeah, all in all, really liked this. Really liked it a lot. So those were, of the books I've read, I mean, I got stacks this thick of free comic book day books. But of the 5 that I read, that's how I would rate them so far. Something about Max Meow beating Spider-Man is fun. But yeah. So we've talked about all of the different undercards, right? We talked about Naomi getting canceled. We talked about we did our tribute to George Perez and Neal Adams. We talked about free comic book day books. What else is there left to talk about besides what's on the thumbnail and the title of this video? Which multiverse is better, DC or Marvel? I don't read a lot of Marvel books. For me, it's DC by default. Because my Marvel generally is like just X-Men and Spider-Man. And Spider-Man hasn't been that good lately. So, or I say lately, the last 2 issues of Spider-Man are more exciting than, the last, 32 issues of Spider-Man. But all in all, it's not like at the top of my reading pile or anything. So, yeah, I'd have to say DC by default. I just care about their characters more. But, again, I always, preface all of my thoughts with I'm newer to comics. And so the more I read, the more I may fall in love with Marvel and or any other character or publisher. Tim Sheeran's back. You're back right on time, because now, well, not right now, soon, We get to talk about Blood Syndicate as soon as I get it pulled up. All right. By the way, Blood Syndicate or any book in this new version of Comixology on the internet, this ain't the move. This is not the move. But oh wait, I can pull this up. I'll pull this up on League of Comic Geeks. All right, so this week, Blood Syndicate Season 1 is out. Number 1. Yeah, ASM Beyond left me saying the same thing. Same thing. But Blood Syndicate's out. Blood Syndicate is bite, as like people from Florida would say. And man, it's exciting. It's exciting. Now, if I had to, because somebody asked me earlier if I would rank the new Milestone Returns titles. If I'm just going off of issue 1s, I think Hardware is still my favorite issue 1. Icon and Rocket was basically the same as issue 1 from the 90s series, with like one key aspect missing. And then we got Blood Syndicate. Blood Syndicate is just very, you know, when people say like, okay, this is different. This isn't what I grew up on. This isn't the old thing, right? They typically mean that in a disparaging way. This is different, but it very much feels like an update. Like this feels like Blood Syndicate 2.0. Like when Milestone was first getting relaunched, they were calling it Milestone 2.0. Of all of the reboots, this feels the freshest, right? Like this doesn't feel like they're trying to be the old Syndicate, but it's watered down. It just feels like something new, but yet familiar in some ways. Like they're familiar in that the characters are the same characters that they were, like the powers are the same and all that. But I can't talk about any of these Milestone books without talking about the original versions of them, right? So here's what I have in front of me. This is Blood Syndicate number 1 from 1993. April of 93 is the cover date, which means it probably came a couple days later, months later. Yo, you'll enjoy this. My mother is old, but my mother, she's not that old. She just acts old. But my mother somehow broke her iPhone. And so her iPhone keeps dialing 911. And on an iPhone, you can set an emergency contact. So anytime you dial 911, your iPhone will automatically alert your emergency contact. Like, hey, so-and-so just dialed 911, and here is their last known location. And so whatever issue my mom has going on with her phone, like she was constantly sending me her location over the last week. And so I would like tease her. Like I called her yesterday, like, hey, I see you're home from the donut shop. Like, figured I'd say what's up. But anyway, a few minutes ago, she sent me her location again. And then she said, I finally got it fixed. So that's great. Anyway, Blood Syndicate, number 1 from 93. What I will say about Blood Syndicate and why I loved it so much in the 90s is that this joint jumped straight into the action. Like in the original Blood Syndicate from 93, there's this reporter who is your ride-along character. What is her name? What is her name? Chaplick. Something Chaplick. But anyway, and she is kind of introducing you to the Blood Syndicate. She's heard about this gang with superpowers, and she's trying to figure out like, yo, like where they come from or whatever. And that's our reason to go to Paris Island, which is basically the hood, right? Like it's the south side of whatever city you live in. South side of Dakota, for all intents and purposes, is Paris Island. And Paris Island is very much like a character in the Blood Syndicate, in that it's like Gotham, right? Like you don't want to go there, but it's not mobsters you got to worry about. It's like drug pushers and police and gangbangers and whatever. So that's old school Blood Syndicate. Long story short, this book is about a couple of gangs who are all affected by the Big Bang, decide to come together and fight for turf. They fight each other and they fight threats. That's the Blood Syndicate. I always describe them like an amoral X-Men. And I love them. This is my favorite of the original Milestone titles. It's this, then Static, then Icon, then Hardware, and they switch back and forth a lot. But this and then Static are the top two. Hardware and Icon can honestly be interchangeable. I love them all. I love all the original Milestone series with a very high regard. But anyway, excuse me. That's the original Blood Syndicate. And then this is the reboot. And what I will say is this book has the benefit of not launching alongside the other three titles, right? So where the other three titles seem to be taking place concurrently, this is taking place sometime after the events of every other season one book. Not long after, but after that. And basically, you got these characters. You got Wise Son and you got Tech 9, who are not mentioned by those names in this issue. Spoiler alert. But they are both soldiers who come back from fighting, you could say, in Iraq. I think it wasn't listed as Iraq. It's like somewhere in the Persian Gulf. Let's just say it was the war in Iraq. They come back from fighting in the war in Iraq, and they come back to Paris Island to find that Paris Island is very different than it was when they left it. And there's not much I can say without spoiling that issue. But again, we have a ride-along character who, helps us get up to speed as they get up to speed. I thought that was great. I actually got to have like a little Twitter back and forth with Jeffrey Thorne earlier today. Oh, by the way, this is written by Jeffrey Thorne with art by Chris Cross. Chris Cross did this variant cover, which just happened to be my favorite variant cover for the series. And I don't know if you noticed, but this variant cover is an homage to this original cover to the 93 series. This cover is by Dennis Cowan. But this cover over here that's on the screen, that one's by Chris Cross, who does the art in this book. But anyway, so Wise Son and Tech 9 were in the Iraq War together. They come back home, and the character that we will come to know as Fade, is briefing Tech 9 on how Paris Island has changed while he was at war. There is a nice throwback to the gang culture that was alluded to in the original series, or that was such a central theme of the original series. So I like that was in there. We get introduced to a lot of characters in the Blood Syndicate, so I don't want to spoil it. But what I'll say is this book does a good job of telling you what Paris Island is and giving you a little bit more context about Paris Island Like, there's one point in this book where Fade is explaining, like, yo, like, there's superheroes on Paris. There's superheroes in Dakota now. But the superheroes don't stop here because this is the hood, right? Like, you ever watch like any like hood movies, the police don't run by in the hood as much, right? They're either over policing or they're not there at all. And in this instance, they're like not there at all. And so you really get this picture of Paris Island as like no man's land, like where nobody wants to be, nobody wants to visit or whatever. But then you also get this picture of Paris Island as being like prime real estate for all these unsavory people who want turf to control. So that's the setting that is established in this book. And add on top of that a bunch of superpowers, and you can tell we're about to be in for like quite an interesting ride. Now, there are things that are just different, like because the Big Bang doesn't happen the same way in this continuity as it did in the original continuity. So there are things about this book that like this is the one book where I don't feel like I'm waiting for the thing that I'm familiar with to happen, right? Like it's like it's so new that I'm invested like all over again. Like I'm discovering it for the first time, but it also does still feel familiar. It's familiar without feeling nostalgic. And that's an accomplishment, is what I would say. Um, yeah, this very well may end up being my favorite Milestone series again. Hardware Season One is going to be a very hard bar to cross, but this has the potential. I see it. Very much enjoyed issue one. Our appearance from Holocaust did not disappoint. Like Holocaust did Holocaust things, and I'm expecting even more in issues that are following this. I love seeing Tech Nine again. I won't spoil anything, but we didn't get to see as much of Tech Nine as I would have liked to in the original series. So I love that he's back. I hope he lasts a little bit longer this time. Let's see. Tim feels the same way. Tim's favorite member of the Blood Syndicate is still Tech Nine. In the original Blood Syndicate, my favorite was Wise Son, who is in this book and who is not a very likable character in this first issue. But yeah, Mexicano Heat says Blood Syndicate was one of the books that got me hooked on comics back in the day. Word. If I was reading comics back in the day, this is the type of book that would have hooked me. Well, excuse me. This is the type of book that would have hooked me. But I got to read it 30 years later and I enjoyed it just as much then. So but yeah, all in all, Blood Syndicate Season 1, it's hard for me to talk about it without spoiling it, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. The art by Chris Cross, still very good. I think what Chris Cross has as a strength is its facial expressions. Like, look how these people look genuinely scared on this page. Like genuinely scared. I guess I'll show off some of the art from this book. Hold on. Now, this is the Comixology inside of Kindle. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But where am I at? So, yeah, this is what Chris Cross does really well are these facial expressions. Okay, I don't want to spoil things, but look at this. This icon by Chris Cross on the wall. It's just good. It's just good. I love the clothing designs. I think that is really awesome. Um, this is gonna be the last page I show. But look at Holocaust. First of all, look at Holocaust's outfit. It looks like he's like something off of like Shotas or something, right? The tracksuit and the dreads, it's just great. And he's the muscle man. But I love the facial expressions, the different hairstyles, the different builds. Like Chris Cross does great like character work. I'll say that much. And man, it looks good. Man, it looks good. Um, yeah. Let's see. John Smith says, not my first milestone book. Definitely a good book that speaks to us. Always good to see good representation in books we read. Yeah, I fully agree. I fully agree. Let me not do full screen. Let's switch up the view. So, and I talk about this a lot when I talk about milestone, right? It's so difficult talking about representation lately because people think that means that because I'm black, I only want to see books with black people in them or written by black people. And that's not the case. My favorite character is Batman, of all people, right? But there's something to be said about seeing an accurate portrayal of yourself or people that look like you or people that could be like your friends in real life. Like, it just means that much more, right? Um, and so I really like that. I like that Milestone has always kept that in the forefront. Um, not representation for like the sake of necessarily like fulfilling a quota or something, but just like, there's real people out here that have different lived experiences than what we've seen out there in the norm. And let's represent those people too, like as well. So that's really dope. That's really dope. Let's see. We got a super chat here from Sigma Comics. My man HH German says, big ups to BJ Kicks. Love your support of Black Cotton and Here Comes Calico. Issue 5 hits Kickstarter on Tuesday. We'll love to come on and talk about it. Gonna be fire. Say when, and I'm there. Yeah. Shoot me an email. We can get that worked out. I believe it's either going to be like the week of the 26th or the 2nd. So just depending on how long the Kickstarter is going to be running. I think the 2nd of June is probably going to be the date, though. Just looking at my calendar. Thank you for the support, man. And thank you for sending over Here Comes Calico. Issue 4, I believe, is what I just got in the mail. I had to go grab it from another house. But yeah, we'll talk. We'll connect. I appreciate it. But yeah, so Blood Syndicate, issue number 1. Definitely still a recommend. Definitely a recommend. I liked it a lot. And I think if you read it, you will too. One thing I will say, like, if there's anything to knock the book for, Blood Syndicate number 1 jumps you straight into the action, like the 90s series. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of action in this book. But Blood Syndicate number 1 from the 90s gets you straight into the action on Paris Island and gives you a picture of the full syndicate. And it's like you are jumping in from day one. And I think that's just indicative of the storytelling style of the 90s, where most story arcs were like 1 to 2 issues, 3 at the most, right? Like think of stuff like the Emerald Dawn, right? The introduction of Kyle Rayner and like the turning of Hal Jordan. That all took place over 3 issues. If something like that were to happen now, it would take place over like 12 issues. But anyway, with that, there's a difference in storytelling style. So this, I can tell, is going to stretch certain aspects of this over the whole 6-issue story arc. But I expect that we're going to have a lot more action in issue 2, and I expect things to escalate significantly. And like I said, I mean, everything that I've seen in this issue, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So that's how I felt about Blood Syndicate Season 1, Issue 1. And that's pretty much all I had to talk about. You guys still with me? You guys still here? But yeah, I grabbed I grabbed Blood Syndicate in every cover. So I grabbed, this was the 1 in 25 that definitely cost me more than $25. This is the new school variant. This is Nicholas Draper Ivy, friend of the show. And then I've got my old school variant right here by Criss Cross. And also, I grabbed the cover A. Cover A, Blood Syndicate. You got Holocaust. You got Wise Son over here with the headband. Tech 9, Fade, all there. This is going to be your core of the Blood Syndicate this time around. We're not sure which other characters we're going to see. You can read some interviews to find out. Hopefully, I'll be able to get Jeffrey Thorne on here. That would be awesome around the time issue 2 comes out. So I'll see if I can reach out. But yeah, so I got all 4 issues, and I got this poster, which is basically just this image, but like way bigger, as you can see. And just for comparison's sake, here's my collector's edition poster from the original Blood Syndicate, number 1. I got to get a frame for this. That's why this is out. But this is going to go on the wall along with my other milestone number 1s. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be very fun. But yeah, hopefully we see Aquamaria. I'm wondering if we're going to see Dog. I doubt it. I doubt we're going to see Dog. Because, anyway. If Tech 9 was overseas, when would he have gotten a pet dog? But Dog was such a cool character. Brick House, we got to see Brick House. Yeah, Aquamaria would be dope. I think the only one he said was not going to be there was Kwai. So, yeah, man, that's it. That's all I got. Blood Syndicate number 1, or Season 1, number 1. It's 8.5 to 9 territory for me. I really liked it. So yeah, definitely my favorite book of the week from as far as ongoing stuff. Speaking of ongoing stuff that I read this week, Spawn 329. This cover is pixelated. It's like they used a low-res file to print it. It's really weird. So I was kind of mad about this cover. Thumb through it. Artwork inside is amazing. That's why I keep buying Spawn, because it's only $3 and it looks great. Superman Son of Kal-El, still like it. This was probably like a strong 7. I Am Batman number 9 is going with the plot of the Riddler right now, or the new Batman movie. So it was hard to like get into the story because I'm like, I just watched this movie, but I still like it. I like the character moments we're getting with Jace and how he's building out his team. This was probably a strong 7 too. Like that as well. What If Miles Morales? You could take it or leave it. I mean, it was a nice one and done story. Very heartfelt, not as much action. I enjoyed it. Also, probably a strong 7. Is everything a 7? I guess. That's all I've read so far this week. I still got to read X-Men and the Hulk versus Thor. But yeah, so that's what I thought of all the books I've read so far this week. Free Comic Book Day was dope. Enjoyed all that. Look for that recap coming about Saturday. And huge thanks once again to Ultimate Comics for sponsoring the Hangout. You can shop at all of their stores. And when we get off of here, you can shop at the Ultimate Comics live show, because they'll be live for about another hour on Facebook and on YouTube. Just type in Ultimate Comics live show. You'll find them. And that's going to do it for me. Hope you saw something you liked in this video. And if not, hey, that's cool. So you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy and be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.